Dzień dobry, witam Was serdecznie. Moi drodzy, serdecznie Was przepraszamy za usterki techniczne. Zajęło nam dobre 20 minut, żeby przełączyć aplikację i sprawić, żebyście mogli nas zobaczyć live, ale mamy dobrą wymówkę. Dzisiaj się łączymy z Nową Zelandią, więc jesteśmy po prostu też po drugiej stronie z Colinem Sissonem, który jest w zupełnie innej strefie czasowej. Trochę nas zawiodły komputery, trochę nas zawiódł internet, ale mam nadzieję, że Wasze nastroje i gotowość na tą rozmowę nieustannie jest. Po drugiej stronie Colin Sisson, trener praktyki obecności i świadomego oddechu oraz autor światowych bestsellerów, takich między innymi jak Wewnętrzne przebudzenie, Podróż w głąb siebie. Jest twórcą szeroko stosowanej metody rozwoju osobistego, integracji oddechem oraz współtwórcą integrującej obecności. Dajcie mi tylko proszę znać, że mnie teraz słychać i że wszystko w porządku i że jesteście. Widziałam, jak się zbieracie. Niestety nie byłam w stanie w żaden sposób zareagować, ale już jesteśmy. Zaczynamy z lekkim opóźnieniem. Będziemy rozmawiać o 5 krokach w kryzysie. Będziemy mówić o tym, w jaki sposób sobie radzić ze strachem. Widzę już pierwszy komentarz. Dajcie znać. Jeżeli wszystko jest w porządku, to będziemy zaczynać. Colin, welcome to One Energy TV Live. Sorry for that delay. Unfortunately, the crisis, as we can see, are everywhere, not only in the real world, but also in the online world. So we could just practice another crisis. So a lot of crises around. I hope you are fine. I hope you are well. Please tell me if everything is all right with you over there in New Zealand. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I do. I hear you good. And dzień dobry, Agata.
Dzień dobry.
It's nice to be talking with you. Yeah,
How are you?
I'm good. Yes, I'm in total isolation. I'm living on my own, so it's given me lots of opportunities to write more and to work out my land. I'm planting trees, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. And but of course, I miss family and friends, and that is a hard side. But we have phones and Skype every day, so that's pleasant. So generally good.
There is an advantage that you write more books, and we could expect them. I hope soon you have more time and more maybe motivation.
Yes, I'm really enjoying this time to be able to write and also reflect on my life and to see what's happening in the world. I keep close in touch with what's going on in the world because I really care about particularly Europe and Poland very much so. I feel Poland is my second home, so what happens there is very close to my heart. So and America as well, England, and Europe as well. I'll be keeping my eye on it.
We also feel that you are a part of Poland and you've been coming to Poland for over 20 years. And this year will be the first year that you won't come due to the situation with coronavirus. We will miss you.
Yeah. I will miss that as well if that happens. I mean, we haven't made any firm decisions at this stage, but I'm hoping that it will still happen. But the news from Europe and America doesn't look promising for that. So I will do more online work and stay in touch as much as I can through that way. So my personal presence might not be, heart will be there for sure.
So let's hope that online would give us this opportunity to meet
like me to talk more about the situation.
Yes. When we spoke last time, it was in October 2019, and at that time, no one would expect what would happen in 5 months. We spoke about the theory of the crisis, But now it's not the theory anymore. It's a real crisis, and we have the chance to practice how to overcome that fear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, as I look at the crisis, I notice that a crisis of this magnitude brings out the very best and the very worst out in people. And you can see this happening with panic buying, unscrupulous business people who exploit the markets by inflating prices on commodities that are short, and politicians politicizing the situation to their own advantage. So you see this, but also, I mean, these people are doing these things not because they're wrong or bad, it's because they're afraid. And they're just simply responding to human strongest drive, and that is the need to survive. And so this is what's gripping a lot of people that are being controlled by their fears. But also it's bringing out the very best in people. And I see this happening as well. I see the community coming closer. People feel closer with each other. And I am really impressed with our frontline people and essential services, like those that work in hospitals and the police, firemen and the ambulances. And these people are really holding the line. And also they're putting their lives at risk in doing this. And my heart really goes out to these people. So I get lots of phone calls from people asking, you know, how they can deal with the crisis. And of course, there's many ways that we can deal with the crisis in terms of, and one of the ways that I suggest is certainly not through mental processes like forced positive thinking, which I think is kind of superficial, but really this is the time to meet our fears, to meet our feelings, because there's no greater time than now, because the crisis is really upon us. And this is a crisis that will affect us all. People are losing their jobs, they are short of money, short of resources, and of course, there's a greater crisis than these, and that is, of course, the fear itself. How do people deal with that? And these are the things we have to meet. We have to meet these things, otherwise, worse. So
it is true that a lot
I
of
look at my own work.
A lot of people force themselves right now to think positive and to keep this positive attitude, also comforting each other. Is it a wrong attitude?
No, not at all. There's nothing wrong with that. But unfortunately, it doesn't last. Is that there's only really one way of dealing with a crisis this size, and we really have to go and feel our feelings, meet our fears. And the basis of my work is when I studied the lives of great men and women throughout history, people like Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Helen Keller, Florence Nightingale, and Martin Luther King. And these were actually only ordinary people that went to the depths of their fears, the depths of their suffering, and they emerged from that crisis, their own personal crisis, into and now are shining lights for the rest of us. Is that we need to really be real, be totally honest with how we feel about the crisis we find ourselves. And in that way, we can go through and find that hero within us all, because every one of us has a hero inside of us. And we can find that simply by going inside and being honest with our feelings. And if we're afraid, this is the time to be with our feelings. And our feelings will not possess us. Because when you meet your feelings, they actually dissolve. And this is how I created my work of breath integration, and then my work with Magdalena Jenichka, when we formed together the integrated presence, or the power of presence.
We say hello to Magda.
And this really is about not through yeah. So yeah, Magdalena has been a great inspiration for me. We've been working with each other now for over 20 years, and this is why we co-created Integrated Presence. And I know that, you know, when the fears come up in me, just by simply feeling them and being fully present with them, it actually dissolves. And when the feelings dissolve, what's left? But love. But the true part of us is what's left. And this is a time to be totally honest with how we feel.
Even with
Because
the
this is a major, in fact, this is probably the biggest crisis we've experienced since World War II.
Yes, it is true, but a lot of
Sorry,
people
you're
also
saying?
feel resistance to feel the fear. How to overcome that resistance?
Yeah.
Or should we feel the resistance?
Yes, most certainly. But of course, that requires a little bit of training. And this is why we have, in fact, in Poland, the biggest number of practitioners in any other country in the world. And many of these practitioners are giving sessions online, and people can reach these practitioners through my website. And they are providing a wonderful service for people to start to connect with their feelings. Because behind the feelings of fear is our courage, is our real inner strength. And the best way to connect with that is have the courage to go inside and just be present with what we really feel. And that is so simple, but you're right, it's not easy because we're so used to trying to do it through the head, trying to force ourselves to think positively. But that doesn't work long term. We really have to be honest like never before, because as I said, this is probably the biggest crisis the world has ever seen since World War II. And we have to fall back onto our own courage. And we can do that because we can meet this challenge together, not only individually, but as a community. I really find a great inspiration from our Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. And she summarized this whole thing about bringing the best out of people in 2 simple words. And all that she says at the beginning of all her press conferences is simply this: be kind. Just be kind to one another. This is a time to step through our prejudices and our resentments with our neighbors and members of our family. This is a time to pull together and be kind. And I had a personal experience from this recently because, as I was saying, my own and my neighbors, I got wonderful neighbors who've been keeping an eye on me, and some of them bringing me groceries, and I just pay them online. But one of them just last week put in a bottle of wine as a gift among my groceries. I was so touched by that act of kindness that I was so inspired, and I mean, it was such a huge feeling. This is what we need to do to pull together: is be kind with one another, because the fact is that this virus is highly contagious. But there's something that's even more contagious, and that's our fear. And our fear can feed off each other. But there's something even more contagious than that, and that is the act of kindness. That when we can just pull together and feel those feelings and reach out with a helping hand to a neighbor, to somebody close by, you can do it by telephone. That makes such a difference. And we do need the strength, and that encourages us inside and find our own courage. Because as I said, we all have a hero inside of us.
Yes, beautiful words, and that doesn't require a lot to become a natural leader among your society and to inspire others and shine the light. But what are the other possibilities and ways to become such a natural leader, apart from helping each other making a phone call, asking your neighbor if he needs some vegetables or maybe some wine, as you say. How can we become this mental or leader?
Yeah, I think we can show the way by just reaching out to others and giving them that little bit of comfort, that little bit of encouragement that they already are doing a great job, and small things like that. As I said, that bottle of wine meant so much to me, and 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 people sometimes they're a bit reluctant to do that because they think resentment to a neighbor. They won't reach out to that, but it's us all. And we all need to pull together, but collectively as a community. And just to ring a neighbor and just say just a few words. How you doing? Do you need anything? Do you need any vegetables? Do you need any eggs or whatever? Just something like that, to reach out to one another like this. And when neighbors have done that to me, oh, the feeling is just totally amazing, because we are really emotional beings, and we tend to be really run by our feelings. And I realized that our feelings actually have a greater influence on us than what we believe. These things are quite secondary. That if you really listen to your feelings, they actually run our whole life. And this is why my whole work is based on how we feel, because that's what frees us from the runaway fears and this human drive to survive, because that is the strongest human drive that we all have. And we can so easily fall under that spell. And when we do that, we then become just so focused on our own survival that we don't care about anybody else. And this is why, as I mentioned earlier, the panic buying, the useless business people and the politicians that are taking this people's expense. But they are run by their own fears. They run by this this need to survive. And we can rise above that another through the power
This is
of
the time.
kindness, because that is the greatest cure. And this is what needed most of all on the planet. Not new ideas, but new feelings for one another.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we need now.
I will say something in Polish to our audience. Dziękuję, że jesteście razem z nami. Zdaję sobie sprawę z tego, że połączenie internetowe może nie do końca być najlepsze. Wybaczcie, łączymy się z Nową Zelandią, ale niech Was to nie powstrzymuje przed zadawaniem pytań. W ostatniej części rozmowy będziemy zadawać Wasze pytania Colinowi, więc jak przychodzi Wam coś do głowy, z czymś się mierzycie w tej chwili, chcecie się czegoś dowiedzieć, to proszę piszcie w komentarzach i dawajcie znać, czy na pewno wszystko po Waszej stronie w porządku, jeżeli chodzi o techniczny odbiór naszej rozmowy. Colin, I'm coming back to you. You are teaching for many years the 5 steps how to behave in the crisis. And there is no better time right now to really practice those steps. Please let us remind us what those steps are, because this is also one way is to call the neighbor, and the second is to also tell him the 5 steps in the crisis. It might be really helpful to everyone.
Yes, most. I think the first step is to recognize that we're actually controlled by our fears. And so when I notice that my fears are running, the first step, and a lot of people think about that, and this is why they can't even start the process, because they're too busy trying to find the solution, trying to escape their fears. Just to admit, afraid right now is the very first step. And then, of course, the next step is to take some breaths, because humans are the only species on this planet that hold afraid. And when we hold our breath, that actually separates us from our inner power, from our inner strength, and of course, most of all, our courage. So take a breath. To first recognize that I'm afraid. Number two, take some breaths. Start to breathe. And number three is to ask yourself the simple question, what am I feeling right now? And if we're honest, I'm afraid. And then the second part of that is how I got this feeling. And this is what connects us to our resistance to. And then, so when, okay, I recognize I'm afraid, I breathe, and now I know that I'm afraid, which is the third step. And the fourth step is whereabouts in my body are those feelings, because all our emotions are held in the body. And the only reason fear is held in the body is because of our resistance. So we deal with that. And now whereabouts in my body are those feelings? And most people feel it either in the solar plexus or the throat or the chest area. I feel mine in my solar plexus. So then that's, so, and the fifth step is to put your whole attention, put your whole presence in that part of your body. And what happens when you are fully present with your feelings in your body, a miracle happens. They start to dissolve. And what is left is the feeling of love. And I know this sounds simplistic. In fact, anything that's real is very simple. And that brings you to your courage and to your strength. And then you stop being controlled by your own emotions, and now you're in touch with your own power. And that's the time to reach out to a neighbor. It's so incredibly simple. It's been the greatest discovery of my life. So just simply, I'll run through those again because they are so simple. Is number one is that I feel victimized, or I feel I'm in a crisis. Number two, breathe. The breath starts to bring the process back inside. Number three, what am I feeling? And what do I feel about what I feel? And generally it will be, I'm afraid, and I'm afraid to even feel these feelings. And number four, whereabouts in my body do I have these feelings? And as I said, it'll be probably in the solar plexus, throat, or chest, but it can be anywhere. And number five, be fully present with these feelings in the body. And that's all. No philosophy, no technique, but just a process of consciousness. And if you're not sure, contact one of the practitioners that are on my website, and they will then just show you again, or they'll even take you through the process. It's so simple that often we can complicate it with our mental process.
Yes. A lot of people fear to feel because when this fear appears, it looks like it would never end. There would be more and more and more of this fear. But actually you say a beautiful thing, which is fear is a false evidence appearing real. It looks like fear is an illusion. And there is a promise of love and some fulfillment and also calmness behind the fear. Is it true?
Yeah. This is why I have some concerns about people who get into positive thinking, because see, so-called negative thinking is only fear that's coming through. And when we pay attention to these feelings, they dissolve. And you're right, Agata, is that people are afraid to feel their feelings because they think they'll be trapped by their fear. We actually get entrapped by our fear by trying to escape our fear. Because our fear is not our enemy. Our fear is not our problem. It's when we try to escape these feelings, then we create a serious problem. And all forms of mental illness is the result of trying to escape our feelings. When we face our feelings, like all the great men and women throughout history have done, when they face their fears, the fear dissolves into the nothing it always was. Because in actual fact, the causes of are illusionary. I mean, the feelings themselves are not, they're real, but the causes are through mental processes of saying, what if I get the virus? Family, what if? And so we're constantly on this treadmill of what if. The work that I'm involved in is come into the present moment. What am I feeling? The feelings will not hurt us. They actually free us when we have the courage to feel them and face them. It's that simple. And once you start practicing being with the feelings, you discover the miracle of the courage inside of us. We all have this hero inside of us. We just have to have the courage to look inside.
And nothing more, just the courage and the honesty to meet those feelings as they are, not trying to change them or transform them, just meet them as they are.
No. Yep. And they dissolve into the nothing they always were. And this is why we don't have to transform or change anything. I just have to be honest with how I feel right now. And that's that simple. And it just takes courage. But we all have it. This is the beautiful thing about it. And what I've done on this work is this is how we discover who we really are, because a crisis like this begins to define us. It begins to connect us with who we really are. And it's been the greatest journey of my life. So we will all become better people as a result of this virus.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a little to go, and we have to pull together.
What kind of world emerged from that crisis? You say better world. Can you hear me?
I believe will be I do believe better world. I think that we're going to learn a lot about ourselves, as any crisis does. As I said from the beginning of this talk, that the very best and the very worst out in people. And I've noticed that those feelings of fear and the need to survive comes up in me. And when I am present with them, again, they dissolve. And then I can find that something else, that level of kindness starts to spring up in its place. If we have the courage to go inside and be with what we feel. It is the greatest journey. I love a North American many years ago, that the greatest journey we'll ever make is from our head to our heart. And this is the greatest journey that we all have to make. And a crisis is the best way for that journey.
Zachęcam Was, moi drodzy, do zadawania pytań, bo przechodzimy w tej chwili do części interaktywnej związanej z Waszymi pytaniami. Colin, we have a lot of nice words here to you. Stephanie saying hello, dear Colin. Valdemar, hello. Eliza is also welcoming you and very happy that she can see you. Magda Janicka is, of course, with us. Renata, so happy to see you, Colin. Anna, welcome everybody. And
I
Anna,
see the list appearing on my side of the screen.
Yeah. So the question that we have here, Stephanie, yes, and to be kind to each other, we have to be kind to ourselves, and that's the most that's what the most work to do. Yeah, being kind to ourselves as well.
Yes, that's true. And I think the kindest act that we can do towards ourselves is simply feel what we feel, whatever we're feeling. That is the greatest act of self-love, is in fact to honor all feelings. All feelings, I mean, we have these feelings, and the reason we have them is because they're meant to be felt. But as most people live in their heads, and most of our thoughts are connected to the outside, so most people live outside themselves. And the idea of feeling feelings is quite a strange one for many people. I know I lived the early part of my adult life in my head, and that's where most people live. And it's time to come home to our hearts. And this is not some philosophy that you give to Sunday school children. This is really the very basis of life, the very basis of love and kindness, is that we are kind to ourselves when we honor our feelings, even our feelings of anger. But we don't have to dump it on anybody else. We just have to be present, because all anger, guilt, it all comes from fear and the need to survive. And when we honor these feelings, of course, they dissolve. And what is left is kindness. And that is the best way to be kind to our, is to be kind to our emotions.
Mm. Whatever they are, those emotions, even if
and it's so
they're
lovely to see all these
emotion.
people. I know many of these people.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Regardless of what those emotions
Yeah,
are, if they are easy or
yeah,
difficult, to have this courage to meet them and be kind to those emotions, even if they are very difficult.
yeah, yes. It is our
Carol,
greatest journey we will all make. The journey
Carol is
to
asking,
ourselves is through the heart, through the feelings.
yeah, because of the internet delay, we have those few seconds of silence between my question and
Yes,
your
I
answer.
noticed that.
That's why it's not so easy, but you know, it's not such a big crisis as the coronavirus crisis. Let's laugh from that at that. Carol is asking, coronavirus is causing fight and freeze reaction at the same time. How do you react? How do you react, Colin?
Yeah. Well, of course, see, I follow the news because I'm really interested in what's happening in the world. And of course, I feel my feelings coming up when I see the number of those that have died and those that have been infected. And of course, I mean, I have two choices here. I either turn off the news and put my head in the sand and pretend that everything's okay, which is just another form of denial being run by my fear. Or I see these statistics and I ask myself, well, how does that make me feel? I feel not good. I feel so whereabouts. You know, so then I breathe, I feel my feelings, I ask what I feel, whereabouts in my body is that feeling, and then I'm fully present with those feelings. And what happens? They dissolve. And what is left is love, is kindness. And this is the way we can spread love throughout the world, because this is the greatest cure. Not to bury your head in the sand and pretend nothing is happening, and or be positive that everything is okay, when we secretly feel it's not. So the news doesn't frighten me anymore. The world, the coronavirus doesn't frighten me anymore. And I deal with those feelings. And this is what we all need to do. We need to face reality, and then face our feelings. And this is how we're going to meet the challenge. And we can do this together.
Mm-hmm. They say,
Yeah, it's a very good
stay.
question. Thank you for asking.
Yes, they say stay at home, and actually, if we symbolically take home as the heart, stay at your heart.
Yeah, exactly, because that's where the true home is. It's not a house, it's not a building, it's in our hearts. And it's always comfortable and beautiful to be home, no matter where we are. We can be living in a pigsty, but we can still be happy in a shack if we're in with our hearts. Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Stephanie, question. Colin, most of our emotional behaviors are dictated by our childhood traumas, are they? My question is, are the traumas from our adult life also as much strong? For example, when somebody is living 15 years in emotional abuse and is producing defense behaviors, are they the same strong as the ones from the childhood?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. And often the traumas that we are experiencing today as adults is lodged in our childhood traumas. And so, of course, what happens when we are faced with a crisis like the coronavirus, it is going to touch the traumas of our childhood. Absolutely so. But this is the time to deal with it. We can't deal probably with our childhood traumas because we may not be connected to them. We may not have the memory of those. So the traumas of our adult life is a reflection of that. And we can heal our childhood traumas by dealing with the traumas and the crises of today. That's why the 5 steps in a crisis is the most powerful thing I've ever learned, is that you can deal with your childhood traumas by dealing with the crisis of today. Because you can't go back there and deal with it, but we can do it by today's traumas because they are connected to our childhood traumas. So, and this is the way we can deal with them.
Yeah, like the
So
present
another very good
moment,
question.
like the present moment is the door to our past and also to the future, is a gateway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes.
Hannah is sending you hugs. Kasia is also very happy to see you, Colin.
Oh,
Chris
oh,
has a
thank you.
question. When people are activated by their fear, how can we help them to break the cycle?
Okay. There's no need to break the cycle because what's happening is you're trying to create a future event. We can't do anything but just be here now with the truth of our moment. And the truth of our moment is that I'm in a crisis and I'm afraid. So if you try to say, okay, how can I break this? You're looking for an outside solution. There is no outside solution. The solution is all inside of us. So here I am. I'm in a crisis right now. Just go through those 5 steps. Admit you're in a crisis. Breathe. What am I feeling? And how do I feel towards those feelings? Whereabouts in my body are those feelings? And to be fully present with them. This is the way to break the cycle, by not trying the cycle. Be here now with the truth of the moment. As you said beautifully, like this is the key to the past and the key to the future. by being here now with the truth of our moment. Nothing has to change or be better, but to be here now with it.
Yeah. Also, we don't have to force and help others just from talking and declarations. Let's try to practice and be the evidence of that practice and show others through your action how to do it and how to react and how to go through this practice instead of forcing and trying to break any cycles. It won't work.
Right, yes, absolutely. And what we then become is we become a shining light for the people in our life. When we're connected to our own self, our own courage, people will recognize that in us and they will look at us as that shining light because that's what we become. And we can all become shining lights, inspiring. It was interesting that just before this interview, Magdalena just Skyped me. And just to sort of make sure that my hair was done, it's sort of like a last minute pep talk. But I felt so supported by everyone around me. And she's another shining light. And to the people that she touches in her life and certainly in my life. And so, and this is what we need to do with each other, is to reach out and just to give that little bit of comfort. But first of all, it has to start from ourselves. As someone earlier said, we have to be kind to ourselves first. And this is how we connect with our courage. And then we do that, we become a shining light for others.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Gabriela, stay at home. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. Thank you for pointing it, Agata. Thank you, Gabriela. Elisa, last year I had a difficult time in my life, and your books helped me to calm down and understand there is another way to live, trying to be fully present all the way. Thank you, Colin. I'm a better person now. Oh, thank you, Elisa.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Joanna, it's good time to do nothing, just be. Yeah, thank you, Colin, for your knowledge. I'm grateful for this time. Piotr, I would like to ask about the word kindness. Is it goodness to others or politeness? I have a problem with understanding.
Well, I think it's more of an energy, a feeling that you have towards someone else. It doesn't have to be polite, but often politeness becomes part of it, is because we are feeling the desire or the well-being of other people. We want them to be okay. And it's more about a feeling and an energy that we have towards those that we care for. So that's how I see kindness, is an energy that that we are thinking about the well-being of others and that we care about them.
Yeah, it is true. It's not so important what you say, but
I think it's more to do with that than politeness.
Yeah, what you're sending. This is the energy. That's beautiful, beautiful words. Thank you. I didn't think about it that way. Thank you, Colin. Magdalena is writing that.
I never thought about it either. That's a great question.
Yeah, great questions. Dziękujemy Wam bardzo za wszystkie pytania, moi drodzy, naprawdę rewelacyjne. Magdalena is saying that 5 steps in crisis that Colin is talking about, he described in his latest newsletter, The Letter to the Humanity. You can read it on his fan page and also on colinsisson.com. Anna, I send sunny greetings to everyone. Stephanie as well. And Magda is saying that this year there will be a new book coming up, which is The Truth of Your Moment. Is it true, Colin?
Yes.
Wow, great
Yes, it
news.
is. I'm just putting the finishing touches to it now. Very excited
Oh,
about it.
we are
And
also excited about it
Magdalena
and
has
can't wait.
made huge contributions to this book.
Great, great. And thank you, Magdalena, as well. We are waiting for the book. I can't wait, especially now when you have a little bit more time. Let's hope that the book will be soon.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone is waiting. Mariusz
And of
is
course, it's being
there.
published in Poland, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, the translation is coming, she says as well. And thank you. I think it's time to finish, although the conversation could last longer because it's really exciting, and your presence itself is also giving us a lot of light. You are a shining light to us, Colin. Thank you very much for your work, for your contribution, and also for your time. I know there is a 10 hours difference between us. You're there. I hope not too much isolated. If you needed any help or any conversation, please let us know. We are always here for you as well, and we will be delighted to have the opportunity to talk to you again. We are staying at home, but we are not isolated. Let's stay in contact, and let's support each other. Thank you.
Yeah, dziękuję.
Thank you. Dear all, to już mogę mówić po polsku w takim razie. Bardzo Wam chciałam podziękować za ten wywiad i oczywiście przeprosić za pierwsze problemy techniczne w pierwszej części wywiadu. Mam nadzieję, że znaleźliście w tej rozmowie coś dla siebie, że Was ona zainspirowała. Ja Was zachęcam do tej odwagi, o której mówił Colin, do odwagi spotkania się z własnymi uczuciami, z własnymi emocjami, takimi, jakimi one są. One nie muszą być wcale łatwe i prawdopodobnie wcale w tej chwili nie są. Nie oszukujmy się wzajemnie, że wszystko będzie dobrze, jeżeli tak nie czujemy. Nie musimy w tej chwili myśleć pozytywnie, nikt nas do tego nie zmusza, tym bardziej sami siebie do tego nie zmuszajmy. Czujmy po prostu to, co przychodzi, róbmy sesje, jeżeli nie jesteśmy w stanie zrobić ich sami, bo ich nie znamy metody Colina 5 kroków w kryzysie, to na stronie internetowej www.colinsisson.com jest lista praktyków, którzy przez taką sesję 5 kroków w kryzysie będą mogli Was przeprowadzić. Ale metoda jest bardzo prosta i tak naprawdę każdy z nas może ją robić samemu w domu. Znajdź miejsce ciche, usiądź, połącz się ze swoim oddechem, uświadom sobie, że jesteś w kryzysie, zdaj sobie z tego sprawę i nie oszukuj się, że jest inaczej i wejdź w uczucie, które się pojawia. Możliwe, że to będzie opór przed tym uczuciem, że będziesz próbować sobie wmówić, że to jest coś innego, będziesz się bać połączyć ze strachem, z lękiem. To jest zupełnie normalne i każdy z nas to już w życiu przechodził, ale połączenie się z tym oporem przed czuciem tego lęku już go transformuje i już nadaje mu inną wibrację i rzeczywiście on wtedy może po prostu odpuścić. Te sesje są bardzo transformujące. Zachęcam Was naprawdę głęboko do tego. Zachęcam Was również do tego, żebyście zapoznawali się z książkami Colina. Jest ich mnóstwo, ale na pewno taką Biblią jest Wewnętrzne przebudzenie i podróż w głąb siebie. Jeżeli jeszcze nie zapoznaliście się z jego literaturą, no to zacznijcie od tych książek. Dziękuję Wam bardzo. Przed nami święta nieco inne niż zawsze. Ja życzę Wam głębokiej podróży w głąb siebie po prostu na ten czas i zakończę słowami Colina z jego listu do ludzkości, który napisał niedawno. I niech to będą też życzenia dla nas wszystkich. Colin pisze: to jest nasz czas, aby odważnie spotkać się ze swoimi lękami i znaleźć swoją siłę. Czy będziesz taką osobą w swojej rodzinie i w swojej społeczności w tym czasie? To może być najwspanialszy moment Twojego całego życia. To może być Twój wielki i szlachetny moment w tym istotnym historycznym okresie. W tym czasie jesteśmy powołani do tego, aby dawać przykład wsparcia ludziom wokół naszą siłą, odwagą i miłością. Dziękuję Wam serdecznie za tę sesję.